This is Game Night with Eric Thomas on TSN 690.
Filling in today is Matthew Ross. Follow him on Twitter at Matthew Words.
.835 TSN 690, Game Night Montreal. Matthew Ross subbing in for Eric Thomas. Marco Polo is on the board, and Stefano Micella is here as well. We're here until 11 o'clock tonight. Still to come, top of the hour, Rich Griffin of the Toronto Star to talk some Blue Jays with us as Toronto climbs back into their game against Boston. We'll continue to update you there. But right now, it's time to talk a little football. Our next guest is a contributor to MileHighReport.com. You can follow her on twitter.com/DOCLLV. Hey, that rhymes. Her name is Laurie Lattimore Volkmann. How you doing, Laurie?
I'm great. How are you, Matthew?
Very well, thanks. Thanks for making the time.
Of course.
Now, I'm a, I don't want to say lifelong Bronco fan because I didn't start following the team until I was about 9 or 10.
Until they signed Peyton Manning?
All right. All right. John Elway is my favorite athlete in any sport of all time. And so I've been a longtime Bronco fan. And, I've seen people jump on the bandwagon in the city. But for the most part, it's been a lonely existence, Laurie. But it's funny. I've had my show late nights on Tuesdays and Sundays afternoons for almost a decade. I've never had somebody on to talk Broncos specifically. So welcome to the show.
I'm so honored.
Yeah, there's a lot going on right now. It's hard to ignore.
Oh, my goodness.
And, I don't know where to start. Well, let's begin with the Matt Prater situation. A 4-game suspension, kind of rough for a team that certainly relies on scoring some points. And Prater, one of the best in the NFL. Did this come out of the blue? Were the Broncos surprised about this? And what are the options now for them?
Well, I don't know if you know, but the Broncos did sign a young kicker just today, about 5 o'clock or 3 o'clock Mountain Time, Brandon McManus from Temple University. So, well, that was his college. He came from the Giants, and his first year out, he was with the Colts. So, we do have a new kicker to take over during the suspension time. What happens after that? Who knows? He's a young kicker with apparently a really powerful leg, so I have to think the Broncos are thinking, a little more long term than maybe just 4 games. But I am not privy to that. That's all in the Broncos front office.
What about the Prater situation? Is he still in good standing after this with the Broncos?
Well, publicly, yes. I think, no organization likes to have this happen. Certainly the Broncos have kind of prided themselves on having a lot of upstanding players and not having a lot of off-the-field issues. We've had them, no doubt. But
yeah, it's just the coaches, right? Two DUIs for coaches, right? So they don't like the players to have it, though.
We had the Von Miller marijuana thing a couple years ago, and he spent his first 6 games suspended last year to sort of pay for that. So, but yes, overall, we have not had a whole lot of this. But Prater got a DUI in 2011, and so, once you get that, you're in the NFL program. And I don't know all those details. They've changed them recently, and there's certainly been a little bit of backlash over Roger Goodell's varying punishments for different things. And, does it make sense to give Ray Rice only 2-game suspension and give Matt Prater 4 games when one possibly seems worse than the other? But what you have to remember is this is not his first offense, and so that is taken into consideration by the NFL and certainly by Roger Goodell, and so he screwed up. He shouldn't have. He took a risk he shouldn't have. I mean, it seems kind of silly. He's just having a few beers, perhaps. It's on his own time. He's not driving drunk. He's not out on the field drinking, but it's the NFL policy, and he knew what it was. It wasn't a surprise to Prater that he could have, urine tests at any time. So, he said yesterday he took a risk and he made a mistake and he shouldn't have done it, and he's taking responsibility. And I think, the Broncos are really good, have always been good about kind of trying to support their players and recognize where they are, and that, they're not perfect and people make mistakes, and they don't hang them out to dry. But at the same time, they're not gonna enable somebody who could potentially bring the team down. And I'm sure this whole situation was weighing on Matt Prater during the game last weekend, and it showed, whether it was just stress or knowing something was coming or whatever. He didn't have a good game. And that's the kind of thing the Broncos they're making every effort this year in particular, but certainly every year, I think, to just create the best situation to win now and to keep winning. John Elway keeps saying, win now and win from now on. So the Prater situation is one where they're going to take care of him, but they're also not going to jeopardize the program or the team or this year's chances because of a mistake Prater made. So I think the new kicker is insurance, and how Prater responds and what happens 4 weeks from now or after the first 4 games is yet to be seen. And I don't think we can totally speculate, but I'm sure the Broncos are looking very carefully at whether Prater still has a place on the team.
We're chatting with Laurie Lattimore Volkmann from MileHighReport.com, talking about the Broncos. Elsewhere, of course, Wes Welker suffering another concussion, 3 in like a year. Just not a good situation. Where does that leave him? And is the team feeling a real sort of sense of urgency now to fill that spot?
Well, when you say sense of urgency, I think they feel like they definitely have a really strong wide receiver core, and Emmanuel Sanders has had a breakout game on Saturday, and so he could play the slot receiver and certainly can fill in now if Wes Welker is absent for a couple of games. Certainly the word out of the Broncos organization yesterday was that Welker was in good spirits. They have to follow the very specific concussion protocol now that the NFL has before he's cleared to play, but Welker is saying he wants to play. The Broncos are making certainly every effort to follow the protocol and not put him in too soon, but they have strong receivers to use. It might mean that Cody Latimer gets a little bit more playing time early on, but they're talking about Welker being back for game 1. So that's only one more preseason game that he might miss, and then possibly back in a couple weeks.
All right, elsewhere, devastating news, of course, about the man who's been behind the Broncos for so many years in the front office, Pat Bowlen, owner, stepping aside due to his condition with Alzheimer's. Your thoughts on what he's meant to the community and how Broncos fans view him and his legacy?
Oh, it's incredible. I don't think there are too many owners in the business who garner the same amount of love and support from fans. Generally, administration, GMs, owners, they're either not well liked or they're not well known. But Pat Bowlen was exactly the opposite of both of those. He has been loved by Broncos fans since he stepped into the organization back in 1984. He's been known for allowing his staff to really do what they need to do as coaches and GMs, but at the same time where he has the power financially and otherwise to kind of really support and bring players what they need through equipment and facilities and whatever, and as well as fans, new stadiums and better facilities, and all those things are a real tribute to Pat Bowlen's vision for making this team the best it can be and doing what he can to do that. And everyone from John Elway all the way down to, I think, brand new Broncos fans know Pat Bowlen is the guy. I mean, he's the guy that sort of allows it to happen and allows really good people to be part of the organization, to do their jobs and to make it championship team it's been for decades.
She is Laurie Lattimore Volkmann. You can check her out on milehighreport.com or give her a follow on twitter.com/DOCLLV. Thanks a lot, Laurie.
Thank you very much. Go Broncos.
Indeed. It is 8:45 on game night Montreal. Matthew Ross sitting in for Eric Thomas. Stefano Micella helping us out as well. And Marco Polo on the board. Other side of the break, your Tweet 10 list. And the reason why Friday's game for the Alouettes may be the turning point of the franchise. I kid you not. That next.